Hello and welcome to So Crafty with Connie. I have had some requests to do a tutorial on how to make the animal beds that are being requested from Australia to help with the domestic animals and wildlife animals that have been injured in the fires. And this is one that I just made, and it was really easy to do. And they put them in the crates, I believe, for the animals, and it's just like a soft bed for them to lay on, and they are made out of fleece. So you need to have a yard of fleece, and we are going to cut out 4 pieces, and I'll show you how to do that and as far as the measurements and that kind of thing. Alrighty, let's get started. So this is the one that I just got through doing. It is the size extra small, and I wanted to give y'all a better view of it. And so it's the same on each side. And these are the instructions that I got: animal beds for crates, rescues, and pounds. And it gives you the sizes, and it also gives you written instructions. But if you're like me, you do better visually. So that's why I wanted to go ahead and make a tutorial for you visual learners, as well as answering the requests that I received to do this. Now, it says I did it a little bit differently than what they said. They said that you could use, it needs to have batting to make it soft, or two more pieces of polar fleece. So that's what I did. I used 2 pieces of polar fleece for the outer side and 2 pieces of polar fleece for the inner side, for the inside. And it worked out just fine. And that's what they said that you can do for that too. Now it said to cut it 1 inch larger than what the measurements say here. I did do that, but it did say to cut the inside 1/2 inch smaller than what it says here. I didn't do that. So I did make it a little bit differently. It's the same exact thing, but to me, I think it's a little bit easier. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing I want to do is let's cut our inner pieces. This is going to be my inner fabric. And so I'm going to do the extra small again, and it's 14 inches by 18 inches. And what I'm going to do is cut it 15 by 19, since it says to cut it a little bit 1 inch larger. So I'm going to find the 19 mark on my cutting mat here, and just place a ruler here, get my rotary cutter, cut that side off. And then I'm going to turn it this way on my cutting mat and find the 15-inch mark. There it is. I'm going to fold it in half so it would be easier to cut. And now I'm going to find my 15-inch mark, put my ruler that's on it, and cut that out. Okay, so now I got my well, this is just one. So I got 1 inside cut out. So now the other one that you cut out, you can either use the one that you just cut out as a guide or measure it again. I find it easier to just use the one that you cut out as a guide. So I'm going to do that. I trimmed a little off of it, but that's okay. Okay, and now I'm going to take my outer fabric. Isn't that cute with the kitties? Okay, now I'm going to take the outer fabric, and I'm going to use the one that I just cut for the inner as a guide. So that way you don't have to worry about measuring again. So I'm going to lay that there. Okay, so I'm going to cut out both at the same time. All right, and so I got both of my pieces, or all 4 of my pieces cut out. And so remember, I did this an inch larger than what the paper said. Now we're gonna sew it, but before that, we want to layer it. So what you're gonna do is lay your outer fabric down first, right side up. Then you're gonna lay the other outer fabric down, right side down. And then you're gonna take both of your inner fabrics and lay them both on top of that. Now I would recommend pinning all of this together so it doesn't shift as you sew. So I'm just going to do that really quickly. And then we'll be ready to take it to the machine. Okay, so I've got it all pinned together. And we're going to sew 3 of the outer edges together and then leave an opening on one end. All right, so let's go do that now. Now we're going to sew our 3 edges all the way around, leaving one edge open. And if you have a walking foot, I would recommend using it because of the thickness that the 4 pieces of fleeces have together. If not, you should still be able to sew it pretty easily, just kind of taking your time, and you may have to kind of give it a little tug in the back, but not too much. Okay. And I would do a 1/2 inch seam allowance. As you can see, even with my walking foot, I'm still having to, you know, push it just a tad, but it's still working. One more side to go. Take the pins out. And I'm going to clip my corners. And then I'm going to trim off the seams, cutting close to the seam that you just sewed, but careful not to get too close to it and cut it. Doing this will relieve some of the bulkiness. Okay, one more side. Okay, now we're going to turn this right side out, but we are going to turn it inside out using the 2 outer fabrics. So you're going to go between the 2 outer fabrics and you're going to flip it right side out like that, and then push out your corners. Ooh, I still have the tag on there where I purchased it. I don't think Australia will want that. Okay. Okay. Now you're going to kind of lay it out flat like this. And make sure your seams are all poked out. Okay, now you're just gonna take this, the two edges, and you're gonna fold this down into the bag like this. And then make sure the raw edges are tucked inside best you can. And then after you do that, I would recommend pinning it. By the way, my husband is back there grinning at me. He's a keeper. Okay. Now I got it all folded in and pinned up, and now we're going to sew all the way around the outer edge, closing up this gap. I would sew pretty close to the edge here so you can make sure you got it closed up, and then the rest probably about a 1/2 inch or so around. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I just had some technical difficulties. I broke a needle. Sometimes when you get into the corners that you folded down to close up the seam can be very bulky, and it can break your needle. My suggestion is to just use very sharp needles, either jersey, ballpoint. Those are good for knits because they're, you know, they're thin, but they're also very sharp, as well as the maxi sharps, I think, Microtex sharp needles like these. Those work really well too. So anyway, I just changed my needle, and now we're ready to get started. Also, if you get to the point to where you do break the needle, I would, in that corner, I would just stop and then start going down the other side. And I wouldn't worry about that corner. It would be sewed enough to where it won't come out. Okay, let's get this started. Okay, I just got through sewing all the way around the edges, and I clipped my loose threads. Now we're going to sew on the inside to tack it down and quilt it, in other words. So what I'll do for this size is I want to go 3 inches in and start sewing from there. So I'm going to take a pin and mark 3 inches from the seam I just sewed and put a pin there. And then I'm going to turn it this way and go up 3 inches from there and put a pin here. So this is my cross mark. And so it's 3 inches here and 3 inches there. So I will start sewing where these pins cross. Okay. And then I'll sew a line, and then I will stop and measure 3 inches from there as I sew. That's kind of how I do it. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now, if your machine may or may not have any markings, if it doesn't, then I would, or if it does, sorry, I need to thread it. If it does, I would find something on your machine that you can use to follow as you sew, just so you keep a straight line. And so I'm going to put my presser foot right over this pin, and I'm going to take the long one, the one going vertical to me out. Put my presser foot down and put my needle down. Okay, so my machine has these markings right here. I don't know if you can see that, and it looks like it's follow alongside 4. So as I sew, I'm just going to make sure that it's going along 4, and that way I know that my line is straight. Instead of that way you don't have to draw a line on here. But if you don't have any markings, you can take some tape, masking tape, duct tape, whatever you had. I had some duct tape. And so just put it on your machine, kind of like that. You don't have to stick it on too hard, but Clorox wipey will get any sticky stuff off if you want. But you can also use that as a guide. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to sew the line. And then I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to measure another 3 inches. And I'm going to put a pin there so that way I'll know that's where I need to stop. I'm going to sew a little ways and then stop. And then take my ruler and measure 3 inches in again from that seam I sewed earlier, and put a pin there. That way it tells me where I need to stop. Okay, so I'm going to take that pin out and turn it. And it should be, if you did that correctly, it should be flush up where you put your marking. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and sew all the way down. Go up 3 inches, put a pin, mark my spot, and then stop at the pin. Take the pin out and turn it again. And as you can see, it's flushed up with my marking. Okay, I've stopped, and now I'm going to measure up 3 inches. Put a pin and stop at the pin, take it out. And then I'm going to go all the way down to where I started, and this will be my last stitch. That is it, and I'm going to clip my loose threads wherever they may be, and then turn it over and clip my loose threads there too. And that is it. You're done. How cute is that? And if you have never quilted and have always wanted to, or if you're afraid to, or what have you, congratulations, you just quilted. That's pretty much what that is. That's all there is to it. I'll also have some quilting videos as well later on. But yeah, it's that easy. Very cute. All right. If you enjoyed this video, if it was helpful or you liked it, please give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And thank you so much for what you're doing for the animals in Australia and the fires. And if you have any questions or comments, you can leave them below. I will also leave a link to the instruction page in the description of this video. Alrighty, thank y'all so much for joining me. See you the next time. Bye-bye.